3 days. Incredible. I mean, words can't describe, right? And it's so hard to believe we're already at day 3, right? Okay, so I need 3 people that had a breakthrough, either in strategy, mindset, had a win, anything like that from yesterday. Thank you, Dr. Melody. Thank you, Dr. Sweldo. I just need one more. Dr. Tolu, thank you so much. Let's welcome them with a round of applause. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Malti Acharya. So 2 breakthroughs. One is that my spirit feels very free in this group. And I was thinking, oh, Malti, you're really networking and talking till late and not running to your room and sleeping. And I realized it was not me, it was the presence here that made me feel comfortable to do this. So that's one. 2 is, it's not that hard to make a business plan. I mean, I was petrified. I was like, business plan? I don't think I'm going to complete that. But, you know, the way Dr. Una led us through it, it's not hard to make it. And I can see, and from the work I'm going to do every morning with the affirmations, I see myself succeeding.
That is so good. And I love what Dr. Una said about how you can just replicate it. Like if you get to a point in your business where you're stuck, just go through these exercises again. You know, really awesome. Thank you. Dr. Swaldo.
Good morning, guys. So for those who don't know, I'm Dr. Carolina Sweldo, and I am a fertility specialist right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, founder of Sabo Fertility Center. And my breakthrough is, I think, a testament to why these retreats are so vital. When I walked in Thursday morning, I sat down next to Dr. Ngozi, and I literally, the first words out of my mouth is, I'm not confident. Yeah. So fast forward, Thursday, Friday, driving in this morning, I look at my husband like, I got this. I'm ready to go. I'm good. So, so that's my breakthrough. I really feel like I can take this practice on and make it special.
Wow. It's already special. It's already special because it has you. That is amazing. Amazing.
You know, I've had people ask me why I keep coming. Like, you're here all the time. You've been, this is my fifth event.
This is your 5th
Yeah.
event.
And this year will be 3 years, but it's amazing how the fundamentals, the reminders of the fundamentals. So one of the big discoveries I figured out is that the math had been the same since from a year and a half ago, and we've grown since then, and the math had not been mathing for a while. So I sat down and I did the math, and I realized that, okay, numbers need to be adjusted, even for the bonus structure. I had been giving bonuses when I wasn't ready for it. So now I've learned that, so that was one. Number 2, when we talked about different systems, like delegation, I realized between conversations with Dr. Una, Dr. Funke, and I really appreciate this group, that my husband is a big asset that I have not leveraged very well because of how I'm not bringing him, or the expectations, because I'm in this group and he's not. But he's been a big deal. So that was, and Dr. Mello's comment too. So Dr. Una, no pressure, but the couples need to come in. But that's separate. But that was very, very big for me. And then 3 is even the fundamentals of asking. Dr. Una talks about making things simple. I also took from here, I'm going to make it simple for my team what it means to do their work well. What my leaders, make it simple. What does that mean? Not use big words and technical jargon, because she does that so well from the beginning. And look at us. We're doing big things with simple instructions. So I've learned little things to say, how can I work with you again with my patients? Telling my team, you keep working with me. This is how you keep working with me well. So that has, as simple as it sounds, that's big.
It doesn't sound simple. It sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Dr. Lodi.
So, Sadaf Lodi, board certified OBGYN and intimacy coach in New York. I'm up here because and the founder of Dr. Sadaf OBGYN. I have a podcast, also the Muslim Sex Podcast. I'm here because Dr. Rubin forced me to come up. And she said she was going to pay me $1.50. So one of my breakthroughs is that I thought I was asking, but I'm not really asking. So I need to be more clear about my offers and the transformation and what I'm offering my clients and the breakthroughs that they're going to get. And so I think that's one of the most important things. And the other thing is to lean on other people, as Dr. Rubin was telling me very nicely outside. And she said, "You better fucking get up." So I guess I need that kind of push. But anyway, so I appreciate everyone here, and thank you for all your support, and I need that kind of push.
Dr. Rubin has a coaching business in the mix. Okay, Dr. BD.
All right, I'm Michael BD, pediatrician, and I own a family practice. I keep coming back to these. This is my third one, not 50 yet, but I'll get to 5 eventually. Because I just get breakthroughs everywhere. It's not just from what Dr. Una shares, it's from what all of you share. I mean, last night, I hung out with, I was on my own, minding my own business, trying to finish a few charts. And Dr. Megan and Dr. Mary and Dr. Toyosi were by, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, finishing charts, and she almost fell out of her chair. Like, what? I was like, "Don't worry, it's only like 20 charts, it's not hundreds like it used to be." But, just hanging out with them, I got breakthroughs with what I could do with my VA to be even more efficient with closing those charts in the room. I got breakthroughs with Dr. Mello talking about my contract and feedback I got with someone who didn't accept it. And, I've had a number of conversations with a number of you about just what you do with your contracts for benefits, because that was something I was so unsure of, and just realized I'm actually offering something decent. It's not like it's way off. I'm like, and which has been a big breakthrough, because now I can confidently really say, okay, this is what the offer is, it's great. If you're not accepting it, then you're just not the right person. And I think it will affect how I show up when I am interviewing for both, mid-levels and physicians as well. So that has been a huge breakthrough. And I just want to really encourage those of you who are new, and even the old ones, the masters here, that, these events are really important. And I could have skipped this one because my wife had to take a trip at the last minute, and so she wasn't going to be home to watch our 16-year-old and 9-year-old. And I'm like, you know what? I either cancel this trip or I just bring them with me. And so last minute, I just booked a flight for them to see, coming along with me. And, in the grand scheme of things, missing 2 days of school is way less than me missing something that's going to affect our whole year, right? So, of course, they didn't mind at all. But I just wanted to encourage you to make this. Like someone was asking, about Mastermind. I already registered for for the Mastermind in April. What's there to think about? You get amazing breakthroughs at these events. It's going to be 2 days. We'll figure out how to get there eventually. Just register. But.
Welcome to day 3. Oh man, those were such powerful breakthroughs. Dr. Rachel, how are you sending the $1.50 again?
I know, right? Who's gonna change it?
But I'm so grateful. I've enjoyed watching the magic of the room and the magic of us, because this is us. We're co-creating magic here. And we've had a great 2 days, but the way we are in EBS, this day is our best day yet, right? So this is going to be the absolute best day of the retreat. Big shout out to Dr. Malathi and Dr. Swaldo. She's like, I got this, right? And Dr. Mecca, thank you for sharing that. It's really, really powerful. Make sure you get your $150 from her. I'm just saying. Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. You can go to the lobby and get change. I mean, okay, just saying. And Dr. Emeka's kids and my kids actually got to hang out the day of the dinner. Because it was like, they're here. And I was like, bring them over. I was like, I have a 60-year-old and a 13-year-old. They'll figure out themselves. And they had a fun time together. So that was like the EBS Junior connection, you know? So that was really good. And to have our kids exposed to things like this early, that is really something. So, you know, that's amazing. Okay. The only problem is this is being recorded, so I can't deny it. As I was saying. But I know what you guys did. You're like, we're just going to sow the seed and we'll let her do what she does with it. I saw you. Okay. Who is sitting in a place like they're totally comfortable where they just went to the one person they know they can talk? Because I need to change your seat. Does anybody need, that you just have integrity and you know, I need to change my seat? You've been moving around? Is there anybody who's not been moving around? Everybody's been moving around? Okay. Oh, I just figured I'd ask. All right. Shh. Okay. Now, Dr. Mecca talked about something which is what happens at these retreats, and I'm glad that we're leaning into it even more. There's the stuff that happens in this version. There's the stuff that happens when you have discussions at your table. There's the discussions that happen when you're, like, it's unstructured, right? Like for him, it was unstructured. He was minding his own business, and here come the people like, let's intervene. The man is doing charts. Let's help a brother. Like this is not the EBS way. Okay, so there are things that happen during the bathroom break. There's all kinds of things happening everywhere. And that is just the ability, what we're developing is the ability to pull from our environment. Like every answer I'm looking for is around me, and I'm just gonna reach out and get what I need. And that's exactly what is happening. And so we're in positions where every day we're getting better. Our businesses are getting better. Things are getting better. And when it feels weird because you're doing the difficult work of asking the questions and owning the goal and all of that, just realize, but it's always working, and I have what I need, and I'm going somewhere, and I'm a unicorn, and this is unicorny things, and this is what we do, right? So when those feelings come, just understand what is happening. Okay, so we're going to be looking at a number of things today, and I promise it'll be a lot of fun, okay? But what I do want everyone to leave with is something very clear. These are my top 3 goals. These are my priorities. These are the 80% I don't do. This is who I identify as. Because you can have all of that on a page or two. And that way you can take all the stuff you did, you can leave it in your note, because how many of you know you're not going to go read the entire note? Right? Some of you will. I know them. I know some people who are reading their notes from 2019. I know them. Okay. But to walk away with a 1 or 2 pager that, you know, these are my marching orders, this is my GPS, that's what we want to accomplish today. So you're not like, oh, how am I going to figure out all these things? We're going to figure them out together, and you're going to walk away with something simple so you can go and you can start executing. How does that sound? Yeah? Okay, so that's what we're going to be working on, okay? All right, so a few things before we do that. Number 1, shout out to the people who already registered for the mastermind in Atlanta. Okay, how many of you are aware you should not miss the mastermind in Atlanta? Show of hands. Okay, great. EntreMD.com/BMM Business Mastermind 24. Please save your spot. Makita, who likes spending my money, is like, yes, we'll make it $2,800 instead of $3,500 while we're at the Vision Retreat, and that ends on Sunday. So save your spot. Okay, just save your spot. If you're like, well, what will happen to the kids? My kids are here, his kids are here. What will happen with the husband? Bring him to. What happened with wife? Bring her too. Okay? All right. Bring them all. Don't ask me about EBS pets. Let me just put that out here. I just heard somebody go like, and what am I? I'm like, don't ask me about that. I felt it. Okay? All right. Now, the vision retreat, we're going to have time to work on our calendars. The vision retreat for next year is October 3rd to October 5th. Save the date. When you save it in your calendar on your phone, put there, don't think of not attending this, right? Tell this version, we tell that version, like, come on, man. We've been there. We've done that. This is what we do. Okay. So we have that. If you are at a stage in your business where because a number of people have brought up conversations around about scale, and you're in a place where, business is growing, revenue is growing, I need to figure out this team, I need to build a leadership team, I need to get things off my plate, I need to work my profits, all of that, then come talk to me after this session so I can answer any questions you have about that. Or the wonderful people of Scale, if you can just wave. You can say, like, I don't know what Dr. Una's going to say. I'm going to talk to the real people who know the deets, okay? So they are there. You can talk to them. And final announcement is, again, we are writing history. That's what we're doing in this room. And I want to invite everybody to be an evangelist for the cause. You already are, because people watch you. And they're like, what is going on with her? What is going on with him? I don't believe they did that. And every time somebody watches you, they can't unsee what they saw. And they're like, my goodness, I can have a different reality. I don't have to live in the burnout. I don't have to live in loss of autonomy. I am not stuck. I can live life on my terms. I can practice medicine on my terms. Things can be different. You just doing the work makes you an evangelist, right? And so what I want to invite you to do is, many of you are big EntreMD podcast listeners, and I want to say thank you from the depths of my heart for doing that. Many of you talk about me being in your heads, and as long as that's a good thing, then I'm okay with it. But I want to invite you to put that out there. When people start asking you questions, I'm like, here, go listen to that. Go listen to that. Because what we're doing is we're disrupting a whole community, right? Like, there are people who experience the problems we no longer experience, and it makes them at risk for all kinds of things. Like, we are in the groups, we know what is happening, right? And if you notice, after we built the business school and the community started evolving, I realized that one of my most important jobs is to preserve the community, that we have this. And so we're very particular, Makita will tell you, of the people we say, okay, come in, because it does take a certain kind of person, and it's hard to build a positive environment. It's very easy to destroy it, right? And so if you have a friend, a colleague, somebody that you're like, they would be a good fit, we will appreciate an introduction, because we're not just letting anybody in, because we need to keep this, right? And so if you have someone you're like, yep, I know them, they'll be great, we'd appreciate an introduction. And for those of you who've done that, thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, I did good, right? All right, let's get to work. All right, so we're going to start with a recap, because you're going to practice this, because you want this to be very clear. So I want you to pull up a blank page on your notebook, and I want you to write these things. So your top 3 business goals. Boom, 1, 2, 3. One-liners. If they're sentences, it means if they're paragraphs, it means it's not clear. Okay? So your top 3 goals, one-liners, and they're smart. So, like, they're measurable. You know when you hit them. Okay, you wrote these yesterday, so I just want you, boom, write those. Oh, yes, 2024. So today is all 2024. Okay? Yes, at least one revenue. So same ones you wrote yesterday. You cannot run subconsciously with something that you don't know subconsciously. Okay? So let's practice. Top 3 goals for 2024. Your 20% activities that you now do because you want to accomplish that. The 80% activities you no longer do because you want to accomplish that. And your top 3 I am or I can statements that, so someone like Dr. Sweldo, yours will be like, I am confident, right? Or if it even sounds better, like, I am the founder of this practice that is this kind of practice. You know what I mean? Like, that makes you feel like, yes, I'm the woman for the job. Is this clear? Yes? Okay. So number 1, top 3 business goals. Number 2, your 20% activities that you now do because you are the person who accomplishes that. Number 3, your 80% activities that you no longer do. Number 3, your top 3 I ams. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Stephanie's going to give us spa music. And I'm going to walk around and peep. Okay, kidding. Just go for it. Did we get it? Yes? Okay. Does it feel clearer? Does it feel like you're owning it more? Is it feeling more real? Beautiful. Okay. Now, let me tell you why we do this. Okay? I want you to think of this hashtag GPS mode, right? If I am going to travel from here to South Carolina, I'm going to go visit, who's in South Carolina? Dr. Toomer. Okay, I'm going to go visit Dr. Toomer. And I put her home address into my GPS. How often will the GPS be thinking about the destination? And if it thinks about it all the time, I will get to South Carolina. I have set a destination, which is my 10x life, which is my 10x vision, which is my 10x business. How often do I have to have that vision on my mind? Are you convinced? How often do I have to have it? So which means we have done the planning on paper. We've done the troubleshooting. We've looked for what we really want. We've tweaked it. We've done all of that. Now we start the process of putting this on our minds. This is the reason why this needs to be crystal clear. It cannot be a paragraph. This is why it needs to be measurable so you can actually see it, right? So this is where I'm going. These are the things I do to get there. These are the things that will stop me from getting there. This is who I am. Right? So again, this is still the, like reinvention by imagination process, but I want it to be clear. So again, when we're walking away with this 1 to 2 pager. We're clear what we're going away to do. So think about it like the whole weekend compressed to 2 pages. Compressed to something simple. So it seems simple, but it took you 3 days to come up with those simple things. So it's not that simple. Do you see? Okay. All right, great. So we've looked at that. So that's our recap for yesterday. So we're going to do something that's really fun. We're going to look at the really big CEO calendar. So Makita has some 2024 calendars. She's even so cool. She got crayons, not crayons, pencils. What did you get? No, the 2024 calendar. Sometimes I confuse my team. I'm working on my communication, people. I just got a notification. I have evidence that Dr. Rachel Rubin paid Dr. Sadaf. We are people of integrity. We keep our word. Okay? She paid that $1.50. So fun. I just love you. That's all. Okay. Colored pencils are coming. Like, look at that. Look at that. Now we're talking, Dr. Una. It took you 3 days to get here. Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to do. How many of you had a business anniversary that you did not remember to the day before or maybe the day after? Like, oh yeah, my practice turned 1, turned 10 or 20. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's happening. I won't ask about, your own like wedding anniversary or birthdays or any of those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to take about 10 minutes for this. And I want you to think through the dates that are important to you. Okay? This could be birthdays. Shh. Are you guys with me? Hang on, okay? I'm going to get out of your way in a second. So birthdays, anniversaries, when you want to take vacation, trips you've already committed to, like all of those things that matter to you. Vision. Put your hands together for Dr. Megan Mello. And primarily Dr. Heather. It's all right. It's all right? But we want to take all those dates off so that way we've already made the decision. We don't miss important dates. We don't realize that things we can't go to. We don't commit to go on a vacation somewhere when you should be at the vision retreat. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, good. So we're going to do that so we have those marked away. And so that way, for instance, you may decide I'm taking a month off here. So because of that, this is what I'm going to do showing up the month before. Do you guys see we're able to make more strategic decisions? So I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give you 10 minutes. This is really, it seems so simple, but this is so important. And it will help our year go by so much more smoothly. Okay? All right. I'm going to walk around. If you have questions, you can find me, but let's get this done. Yes? Yes, I'll come around. Yeah. Okay. And so if it's a date, you can choose to circle it. If it's a week or something, if you want to make a block and color it in, let your creativity flow. All right? Let the child in you come out. When they ask you, was the vision retreat fun? You say, absolutely. I colored. Okay. Good? All right, you guys got your dates? You guys got your dates? You guys are not going to talk to me? Okay. All right, good. So now the people in your life will be so grateful because you have all their dates marked out. Yeah? Now, I want to point out a few things because walking the room, I guess I should just use this, yeah? Okay. There's I talked to a number of people who wanted to take certain vacation times, and they're like, I want to take this, but this is the reason why I can't, or I don't know if I can. When you're dreaming, like this is paper that Makita printed. These are pencils she bought from wherever. We are literally making this stuff up. Okay, this is not a test. You won't get an F if you said you're going to take the time and you didn't. There's nothing going wrong here. Okay? So if there's time you're like, I would really like to go on this 2-week vacation. I would like to go on this 1-month vacation or whatever that thing is. Own it. Like just say, you know what? I want to do this. Just, right? How much time did you take off this year? And we still have a whole quarter, but how much time so far, Dr. Gray? Over 2 months. And she's gone for another month in November. So if you're thinking of taking 2 weeks, then you can add her to your examples, right? And go like, if she could take off 3 months, essentially, which is a whole quarter, as an employed physician, and I won't say anything about her revenue except she wants to talk about it, but hello, I can at least take 2 weeks. You guys remember my easy million a year example? Like, if they can make easy million a year, I'll make a million, easy million a month, I'll make a million a year. Oh, I'm gonna need you to hold the microphone to say that. Come on up. She's taking 2 months off. She's gonna take 1 month off more in November, and
it was this year, like this fiscal year was my highest earning income as a physician. The number one reason why
they're like, what's the 20%?
I basically applied the Entre MD principles to my employed physician job. I'm a medical director. In my department, I manage 2 MPs. I mean, one thing was I told my hospital CEO and admin, if you get me a scribe, I'm going to have more energy to do things to promote this department, to get more referrals. So it's in your advantage to do that. So having a scribe really helped improve my productivity. And there was something, the 20%, just being focused on what generates revenue. So in a sleep clinic, a sleep department, it's sleep studies. So just focusing on, I don't want to order unnecessary sleep studies, but just focusing on, okay, this is the revenue generating activity in my department. So focusing on that, switching some of doing the low-hanging fruit. Like, hey, if I read a sleep study, this is going to generate revenue, so I'm doing more of that. And so just focusing the 20% on what earns revenue.
So the secret to doing a lot more, getting a lot more done by doing a lot less is the 20%. We heard Dr. Toomer talk about it. We've heard Dr. Whaley Gray talk about it, is the 20%. And I decided, I talked about it yesterday, that 2024, I am going to spend 80% of my time in the 20%. Because for me, it's an experiment. I'm like, what will happen if I commit to doing that for a year? Like, what will my life look like, right? And I invite everybody to do that too. So the first thing is just owning it. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this. The second thing is asking an empowering question. How can I do this? How can I do this? Because asking that question means, of course I can, but how will I? Of course I can. Okay? So a number of the people in Scale were like, okay, for Scale, what we're going to do for 2023, you're going to double your time off. The first thing to do is to own it. Then you're like, well, how will I do that? How will I do that in a way that it doesn't tank my revenue? What do I do? Right? So this right here is a very empowering question. Now remember, the brain you have is a beautiful, well-trained chat GPT. But it's the prompts you put in it that determine what you'll get out of it. So if you tell this beautiful machine you have, I can't do this, it will say, okay. If you ask the brain, how can I do it? Then it goes to work. So put your brain to work. Yes? Okay. So own it. It's like, that's a little crazy. That's a little 10x-y. But how could I do it though? Right? And the more you use that part of your brain, the more it will develop a six-pack and it'll start spitting out some really good answers for you. Okay? So are we good? All right. So even if, in the exercise, there's some things you're like, I would really like that, but I can't do that. I really like that. I can't do that. Now, later on when you go back, you're like, but how could I do it though? Okay? Empowering question. All right. Very good. So for the next exercise, you're going to get your CEO calendar and a friend. Everybody's like, what? You're gonna get a template for your CEO calendar, and you're gonna get a friend. Makita has a friend. Don't worry, it'll be here soon enough. To pets? It's a friend, not a pet. I've been looking forward to this all retreat long. This is so fun. What did you say? Okay. Does everybody have a friend now? Okay, so what does that represent? What does it represent? Eat that frog? Okay, so 2024 is the year of frog eating. Where are the big frogs and how fast can I eat them? And people are like, ew. Okay, that's okay. Now, you have your template. Dr. Beckford, let me borrow yours. You have your template for your CEO calendar. The team was so nice, they actually put a QR code, so if you wanted to print multiple ones, you can. Again, this is paper. We are making this up. This is not a test. We're going to give it our best shot. For as long as we live, we'll be working on tweaking our 20% because we're going to keep evolving and we're going to keep doing bigger things. Yes? Okay, so we're going to relax and we're going to do this activity. But I want you to have that frog in front of you. I want you to keep that frog. That's your friend for 2024. I'll constantly remind you, like, is that a frog? Are you leaving some of us uneaten? Would you like to eat a frog? Right? Okay. So we're going to work on what an ideal work week would look like, where you'll plug in your 20% and all of that. But I want to give you a loose framework for how to work your calendar each day. Fair enough? Okay. So you've heard me talk about the daily 5 a lot. In all of these things, your priority is 20%. In every aspect, you're thinking 20%. So when you think about your daily 5 really represents 5 things to do, even though mine are 6, but who's counting? Maybe I'm the reason EBS can't count. The leader can't count, so, you know. Wow. That was just a breakthrough idea. Okay, so your daily 5 will be 5 things you do, or a number of things you do every day that move you in the direction of your most important goals, right? So we've thought about our 10x life, and in doing those things, the question is then, what is the 20% that makes sure that every day I'm walking, if I do them, it means I'm walking towards them, right? Okay, so I'd like to give an example of mine. So you get a feel, doesn't mean you have to use mine, it's just a feel for it. So for me, in my 10x life, my number one priority is my walk with God, right? And so I have prayer and meditation as something that I do every day. And I know I do this, it doesn't matter how long it is. Some days I have more time, some days I have less time. But because I'm doing every day, I'm moving in the direction of that goal. So even if I'm not looking at my goals every day, I'm not doing all of that, I still did the activity that took me there. Even if I had a day where I was like, this day was kind of weird, I still have an activity that made sure I moved forward. This is how you can have a good day on a bad day, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is I'm type A, I'm a goal-getter and all of those kind of things, but I don't want to build something at the expense of my family, right? And so I have my MEET week, which is an acronym, it's meaningful time with kids. And I put that there. So in all that I'm doing, I know I stopped, I took time, I spent time with my kids. So my family life is getting better, even though I may have a busy day, because that's part of my daily 5. Okay. Now I don't have time with my husband there because we have a dedicated date night. So that's a weekly thing, non-negotiable. That's just there. Okay. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, when I'm around people who are older, so they're 80s or upper 70s, the only thing they talk about is their health. Like my mom is like, I'm praying for your business, you're going to do well, blah, blah, blah. The grandkids, all that stuff, great. All I need is my health. Now, she's a doctor of pharmacy. She's run many businesses. She's done real estate. She's done all of that. But at this stage, all she's talking about is her health. So I'm like, apparently that's where I'm going. So I need to work on my health now, because I don't work then to get strong then. I work now to be strong then, right? And so I put exercise there, knowing that I did this long-term thing that will matter for decades because I just took the time to do it every day. So do you see how this is 20%? This is just like, what are those few things I can do that seem little, but if I do them, I'm getting the thing done. I'm very clear that my personal transformation precedes any accomplishment. Right? A lot of what is happening here is we're evolving, right? And because of that, our results get bigger and all of those kind of things. So I put reading there. Some days I'll read for an hour. Some days I'll read for 30 minutes. Some days, at the end of the day, I was like, I can't check that off because I didn't do it. Let me click Audible real quick. Who are my people that do that too? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And that's the beauty of accountability, right? So I have reading there. I have been the person who set goals, forgot about them, ready for the next year, set the exact same goals because I didn't do anything with them, right? And so after that, I developed the habit of looking at my goals every day. Like I just look at them. Now I kind of switched that up. Well, that's not true. I just added on the reinvention thing. Don't worry about that. But I added that to my daily 5 in a way. It just dawned on me now that I did. And then I listen to podcasts because people say, how are you always motivated? I'm like, I motivate myself every morning because it wears off. So I find something I listen to, I'm like, yeah. You know, especially, you know how maybe you're trying to hit your first million and somebody's talking about, you know, how they were scared and they did the scary thing because they wanted to hit their first 10. And you're like, if somebody's working on 10 and they're actually doing the work, I mean, maybe I should go do the work. You see what I mean? Like, so I listen to stuff like that to kind of keep me all the way up there. But you see how doing those simple things, I can do all of that in an hour and a half or whatever, because you can bunch some of them together. It just makes it where I'm working on my 10x life every day, almost by default, right? Okay, so that's the first thing, is the daily 5. The second thing, and you know, depending on your situation, you may be able to do this during the day. There was a time when I was working 4 days a week, seeing patients, running my practice, doing all the things. And there are things I did in the evening. There are things I did it when I could do it. And the more your schedule changes, the more you can do it in places where you want. So the bottom line is to get it done. You can do it wherever you need to do it. Okay. Now the second thing I have on there is the 20% business activities, right? Because now I'm in my work day. Right? So these are, you know, whatever you listed there. If we get into the habit of waking up in the morning, doing our daily 5, eating frogs. Imagine that will be it. Get up in the morning, do the daily 5, eat frogs. Eat business frogs. Eat business frogs. Like you're calling yourself out. You're finding that difficult thing. You're doing it. It's a muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at doing it. The more you do it, the better you get at doing the uncomfortable thing. The more you do it, the more you're like, it's uncomfortable, but I'm comfortable doing the uncomfortable thing. So this is a muscle to develop that my 20% is non-negotiable. That gets done first before all the other things, okay? Now the third thing, the fact that we're focusing on the 20% does not mean that there's some 80% activities we won't need to do. But it cannot be what we spend most of our time doing. And it cannot be what we prioritize. You understand? There's some paperwork that you don't want to do, but nobody else is going to do it. right? So there's some things that are 80%, you're still going to do them. The bottom line is spending less time and not doing it at the expense of your 20%. If there must be procrastination, if there must be something that will go to the next day, it should be stuff from this bucket, not this bucket. Because this bucket is too expensive, the 20% bucket. Okay? So number 1, your daily 5. Number 2, your 20% business activities. Number 3, your 80% business activities. And then number 4 would be your end of day. So let me talk about this. When you work a job, you have a gift of a start and a stop time. When you become an entrepreneur, all day, all night, when you're sleeping, in your dreams, shower time, like the whole thing. And so it's really, but if you check it, a lot of that is 80%. A lot of it is 80%, and we're just working and working so hard on the 80%. We're not sleeping because of the 80%. So when you start practicing an end of day, you start prioritizing the time that you do have, and you get a lot more done. So how many of you, the day before you came for the vision retreat, it was your most productive day? Because you were going to travel. You had stuff to do. You had an end time. And all of a sudden, you became this person who could live in the 20%. Right? So what if we did that on a daily basis? We started practicing. And that doesn't mean I end at 5. It's not about, okay, it must be 5. It must not be 5. Maybe you're working till 11. Maybe all you can imagine pushing back to is 9. You're like, okay, after 9, I don't do any work. Maybe after 9, you'll be able to say, what if I ended at 8? It's a practice. It's a muscle. You start using it, it gets bigger, and you're able to get a lot more done in less time. Right? So practice putting a stop somewhere. Like, at this point, I'm done working. Okay? Now, if you also, there's a part that's not here, and I want you to think about it, like if you're working a job, you're just blocking off the job time. Right? Like, so it's not, you're just blocking that off. This is the time that I'm in the office. If you are running a practice and seeing patients, you just block that time. That's the time that I'm seeing patients. These things fit in the other spots. Does that clarify? Yes. Yes. Doctor, what is your shirt? I am one of the best. Yes.
From the mastermind. We are not very good at doing the 20%, I think, especially when we are working a job, because we are used to working very hard and saving everything good until the end of the day, right? I don't get to have time with my family. I don't get to rest, play, exercise until the work is done. To do this, especially when you're working a job, you have to start taking really good care of yourself throughout the day so that you're not too tired to do that for your business. Because that's not our natural bent as doctors.
Thank you for that. And you started it. Come on.
So when we did what was the September challenge? The 24. Yeah. So for me, like when I get up and take a walk and listen to podcasts in the morning, I'm a better human all day. I'm nicer to my kids in the morning. I get stuff done more quickly. Like I have more energy, even though I don't like getting up that early. But it's my quiet time, and it makes a huge difference. When we take care of ourselves and go to the bathroom and eat lunch and drink water during our day, right, that makes a difference. If you take a little bit of time in the middle of the day to laugh, connect with a human, and chat like real people, do any of those things, your day is better and you'll have better energy as opposed to that head down, work first, got to do all that. Do you have other things? You do have other things, I know you do, but but we've been taught how to suppress all of that stuff, ignore the need to go to the bathroom. Correct. Skip, yeah. Because you can't pee in the middle of the day because you might make your patients wait. Yeah. Well, how dare you pee? I know. What were you thinking? What's that?
Go pee. What is that? And can I say this? Thank you everyone here who is building a business where doctors can have a different experience. I think we should acknowledge that. We should acknowledge that. Because that's okay. Dr. Toomer, Dr. Malathi. Okay.
What I've started doing, I've always had to keep my heart rate down through the day, so I've learned a lot of biofeedback. But since I've been following what Rashmi does, it's gotten so much easier. And just throughout the day, as I feel myself heighten, I can get my breathing. So I do a lot of yoga breathing through the day, and she has a lot of good YouTube stuff on it.
There are times in the day when the default mode network in our brain is super active and it keeps throwing out this crap at us, Oh, I wonder how my day is going to be, or I wonder how successful, whatever. So it's important for us to be aware of when that default mode network is active and take steps to counter it. And one of the things that will counter is, instead of letting that machine start up here, we can start with the daily 5. I usually say a prayer in my language that my mom would say when I was young and growing up. I started doing this in COVID times, and I felt like it connected me to my mom, who was thousands of miles away and I couldn't visit during COVID for a while. So identify that time when the default mode network becomes active and take measures to counter that.
Love it. That's all playing offense with that. Yeah, playing offense. I am the boss of my own day and my mind and all of that. Okay. So what I want us to do here is potty break? Yes. Oh, wow, I heard the room. They're like, Dr. Una, let the doctors pee. Okay. Who here, you had multiple opportunities to get frustrated, sad, all of that stuff, all through the day, but you have a strategy to maintain your joy? Oh, man. Okay, who hasn't spoken? Raise your hands again. Let me see. All of you have spoken. Mary raised her. Mary, come, put your hands together for Dr. Mary. Okay. Who here has a strategy that is so simple that you apply every day and is for longevity? Like it has nothing to do with today. Who? Sarah? Oh, please come up. Yeah, put your hands together. Okay. You have a strategy where you're an entrepreneur, right? So you get hit with challenges, disappointments, discouragement, all of those kind of things. But you have a way of handling it where people are like, how are you this calm in the midst of all this stuff? Dr. Violina, Dr. Magda. Okay. Dr. Violina, Dr. Magda. You guys can come up. Dr. Dewey, you raised up your hand multiple times. Which one is your biggest one? Oh, you have to list them again. They're up here. Longevity, joy, response to challenges. Response to challenges? Okay. All right, come up here. We're going to do you first. Put your hand together for Dr. Dewey. Yes. Okay, let me tell you because we haven't worked our work week just yet. But there are things that, like, I could do this, but I could do that, but. So I want us to get that out of the way, and then we're going to work our work week, okay? Some of the things that come up is like, well, things come and I'm not able to do what I need to do, and I try to start with the 20%, and then a squirrel walks by, and I'm like, oh, squirrel, squirrel, and, I go away. Okay, I'll stop talking now. All right, so I want us to listen. I want us to pull from the EBS Commonwealth, like, what are the ways we handle that, okay? So you have your day going, you started, then you made your nice little ideal work week, you have your CO calendar, and a challenge shows up, but you're able to manage that and stay on track. How do you do that?
Okay, so I've had lots of challenges. So I've had lots of practice. We'll start there. And first, like, you take 5 minutes or however long, and you feel all the feels, and you let it all out, and you cry if you need to, or you curse, or whatever. And then I take a deep breath and think about all the things like living in the gain instead of the gap, which I just listened to on the way here. So it was a good reminder, because life is so much bigger than you, and there are so many things that are just not as important or a big deal. So it's just like, whatever, move on. So to give you a couple examples, like, and I feel like I've overcome a lot, right? So lost my mom when I was 26, so a month into my intern year of general surgery. Have been terminated from 2 different jobs. My sister has pancreatic cancer. So it's been like one thing after another. Oh, have RA, have had 2 joint replacements. Like, you just keep going, right? Because what's the alternative? The alternative is you shrink and you never do anything, and it's just not worth it. So yeah, it's the keep going. Okay, and the other thing is, like, you laugh at things, and you share joy, and you realize that, and you learn to laugh at yourself, right? Like, I make silly my squirrel, okay, like, all the time. So, and then you lean in on others too. You lean in on family, and friends, and all of you, and then you keep on keeping on.
That's good. Thank you. That was really good. Okay. So take 5 minutes. We learned that from, what book was that? Soundtracks and Miracle Equation, right. Okay, so you take the 5 minutes and do what you need to do, okay? But we're not going to do it for a day. We're going to do it for 5 minutes. And then celebrate the gain. So one of the best habits we have in EBS is we celebrate. We celebrate on Friday. We celebrate wins when we come up. Because it's all done on purpose. Because the more we can sit on the fact that, yes, we're moving forward, we're making progress, we're still here, there are things that are working, all of that stuff, the better that it is for us. And she talked about leaning into your community. And most importantly, just like keep going. What is the alternative? Like, I quit, I stop, I don't become who I can be, So that's so powerful. Was that helpful? Yes. Okay, beautiful. Dr. Tolu, you came up for focusing on the 20%. Okay, so you started your day, you were like, yeah, doctor, we're going to talk about 20% of my classmates, go do it. And then you find yourself on Canva, right? Or doing the things, but whatever. But you start getting distracted. How do you stay focused on the 20%?
So one of the things that help is honing in since November on the daily 5. So as part of my morning routine, I wake up at 5, is to write out what the goals for the day. But on Sunday, I write the goals for the week. And so every Monday, I have a sheet, and I only hold the one for the day. And I have that with the 3 things I need to get done no matter what. And that's by my computer. I leave my phone in my office. My WhatsApp is now on my computer. So those who need to reach me can reach me. And everything else is only like I said yesterday, the times, the 10 a.m., 12 p.m. right after lunch, maybe sometime during lunch, 3 o'clock, and then after work, I can look at social media. But it's not with me, so that helps too. I've told my team members not to send me messages unless they're important, only at 11:30. And at 3:45 during the day. So everything else, it really needs to be necessary to come to me. And there are different chat groups. If it's urgent, it will come to me. But I keep redirecting myself. And I've also found that I am my own 20%. So when I do the dailies, I'm able to stay focused to know what to focus on. We had a scene when the toilet was clogged and no one wanted to touch it. And we had a lot of patients. And I knew that could disrupt the day and send everyone into a tizzy. And I just sat, I said a quick prayer, let my husband know like I could use some help, and then said, okay, anybody know anybody that could get help? And we did that, and I told the team, relax, we're having some issues. Here's the decoy. We talked to the 2 stores down, like we're gonna need to bypass people to you, and then some patients who are older can use our personal toilet. So there are things that would throw you away from, like my focus for the day is doing this. And you also start your team with the 20% too. So we huddle every morning. And if you're late at 8 o'clock, you are told, like students who don't come at 8 o'clock, you just watch me, you don't get to see patients. So I don't let anyone take me away from the goal so that the team does not suffer. And I tell the team what their own 20% is for the day. I see 35, my nurse practitioner sees 20, 25. That's when we've done it. People are late. I had to say who makes the executive decision, and I give confine. So if patients are late and I still want to meet my numbers, they can move down the appointment slot or turn to a tele. So it's a 20% for everyone, and I start the day myself honing on my own 20%, which is my daily 5s that helps me stay centered, and then I carry the team, and then I have a sheet to constantly remind me, you got to get this done. And one more thing, you got to train your team to also help you complete your 20%. So it was Dr. Obidi who taught me, and also in skill, like I can teach my scribe to bill. So I could tell her, like, this is a combination visit, 213 plus this, so she does that. So even if I don't finish my charts, my billing is done. So I'm not in pressure. And number 2, my 20% is to write what matters, not make my note pretty. So that's very important. Yeah. That's a lot.
My name is Dr. Tola, and thank you for coming for my masterclass. Okay, now, the beautiful thing about what she's doing is basically turning on the GPS and paying attention to it. So when you start going off, it's like recalculating route. Like that's literally what she's doing. And so a few things here, it's turning on the GPS, the constant redirection, and then scheduling the distractions. So the messages, the social media, all of that, she's like, this is when I do that. So like the distractions are scheduled. So it's not like all over the place. And really leveraging your team. Your team exists for you, right? It doesn't mean you're this great bully or whatever, but the company has a mission. You're on the mission. The team aligns with you to help you get the mission done. So your 20% is their 20%. But they take a part of your 20% and that's their 20%. Do you see what I mean? So it's not that I'm doing the thing and my team is doing their thing. No, we're all doing one thing. Do you see what I mean? So that's so powerful. And then the daily 5 is almost like, I just thought about it as she was talking, it's like a board meeting with me. I'm like, self, have a seat. This is what we're going to do today. You know what I mean? And that's so powerful. Okay. Dr. Mary, you're talking to us about joy. Is that the one? Is that the one we vote? Okay. How to maintain your, how many of you just want to be happy and enjoy the day? Oh my goodness. How do we enjoy our days? What do we do?
Okay. I think first of all, even though we want to enjoy our day all the time, just remember that we also have other emotions, that we have sadness, we have some unpleasant emotions. So when they come up, just, acknowledge that they're here and just think about why, what you're thinking that is causing you to feel, unpleasant and just, and when you're ready, just say, okay, I'm going to put it aside and we're just going to move on and just think about what kind of other thinking or other thoughts that you can have to have a more neutral or pleasant emotion. So I think how I do to remain joyful is I'm grateful. I'm grateful all the time. I'm grateful in the morning.
How many of you know she's grateful all the time? Like,
I mean, my company's name is Shining with Gratitude MD. So I'm very grateful for what I have gained back, my time. And Dr. Tolu's thing, totally agree with what she says for your clinic day. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm just grateful that I have another day on earth. And I also say to myself that today is going to be a good day, no matter what happens. So that take into account of whatever surprises we get, good or bad, during the day. So I think that also what brings me joy, remember what brings you joy, like for me is I want to create time to spend with my family. And so if I go home on time from my clinic day, then I can spend time with my family. I can, do my business stuff. I can, do whatever. Of course, my daily five, that's a given. That's not negotiable. So I think that just really, as Dr. Tolu said, redirect, just remember why you're doing what you're doing and what brings you joy. And another thing that brings me joy is really the connection with people, with patients, with my family. Even though I'm an introvert, I'm more comfortable to just do more one-on-one or just several people, but that brings me joy because I love the interaction with patients, that not just treating the diseases, but to really connect with them in a more human level. So I think all these things add together just brings me joy.
thank you. And so when you were talking about that, I remembered I used to do charts at home a lot, right? Like I get back home and my kids are like, oh, mommy. I'm like, yeah, I need to do my charts, so you guys let me focus. And I'm like, that makes no sense. You were gone all day, and then you're back, and they're happy to see you. I tell them, go away. I need to do more stuff. And then I was reading a book by Brian Tracy. I can't remember if it was Eat That. I think it was Eat That Frog, but I don't remember. And he said there's hard time and soft time. Right? And hard time sounds bad, sounds like prison, right? But like hard time is the time you spend at work, your business, like all of those things. And soft time is the time you get to spend with yourself, with your family, and all those things. And it's like if you don't stay focused during your hard time, you're going to have to give up your soft time to do the work you should have done in your hard time. I was like, really? And so what that means is there's certain chit chat, I'm just going to chill, I'll do this note later, like all of those things. Like, it's not just I'm not doing the thing, is that I'm also giving up time, that I would spend with my family. And that was the last time I took notes home. I was like, we'll figure it here. In fact, I would not even mind spending half of my lunchtime doing my notes, knowing that when I close that computer, I'm not opening it again. When I go home, I'm going to go play with my kids. So that was really powerful that you brought that up, that what brings me joy is spending time with my family. So I'm going to focus here so I can do the thing that brings me joy, so powerful. All right. Please tell us. We want to be here when we're 90. We're like, you remember back in the day in 2023 at the Vision Retreat.
Hi, good morning. I'm Sarah Merritt. I'm the CEO of Lifestream Health Center in Bowie, Maryland. We serve patients with acute and chronic pain. Thank you. And so I may cry a little. My sister passed away at 40. She had breast cancer. And we talked about jobs. She was a teacher, and she really loved what she did. And she would say, life is too short to hate your job. Like when I was going through medical school and all of that. And so finding joy, and it is so important. Finding joy is so important in what you do, that Mary just talked about. And, I am preaching to the choir, though, because this is a group of people who has made that decision that life is too short to hate your job, and you've all made it at some level, and that's why you're here, and that's why you're working at it. And so for me, that secret to longevity is creating that job that you want, creating that life that you want. And I'm really probably not even telling you something you don't already know, but just to tap into that. And for me, that is really keeps me going. And I would share also that I tell that to to my employees that, you know, life's too short, take your job. You know, if people are like, oh, your staff is so fun, you know, and oh, you guys are having fun. And I will just tend to say that, yeah, life's too short, take your job. You know, we're here to serve people and, you know, have a positive experience when doing it. And I think that just really informs what I do and hopefully can help other people.
How many of you did not see that coming? Like the secret to longevity is build a career, build a job, build a business you love. Thank you for sharing. I didn't see that coming. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. What are you talking to us?
That's what I was telling them. Like, this was so powerful. We forgot why we're here.
I think her statement gave us a little longevity here. Did you guys feel that?
So how do I handle stress or
Okay,
like
yeah,
when it's downtime in the office? No, it was serious. Like we were like, oh my God, what is that? And we're like, why are we here? It's like, but no, how do I manage stress or, you know, like downtimes and all those like struggles, the difficult times as a business owner. Like I have had so much. Like when I first started my business, I bought a house. I'm still struggling to get that house, like take off, like to change it to a doctor's office. I didn't know what a big project it was. But so with all the struggles, like I have 4 things that I do every day. First, like if a patient calls, they say, oh, I don't like this practice. I have had patients who are like, oh, no, we don't want to be in this practice because I think the wait time on the phone was too long. One thing, I'm like, not my people. It's like, it's just like 1 second to just know what is, like how to manage your emotions. It's like, move on, not your people. And you just like, it doesn't affect me anymore at all. Like anything, any patient, anything that's not what I'm focused at, not my people. Move on. Yeah. Doesn't give me any, like, it doesn't hit my emotions at all. So that was very powerful. It helped me keep going. And another thing I learned from Dr. Una, like I never realized it till I was in EBS, is like I gather my energy when I'm alone. Like I'm thinking, taking time to myself. If I feel like I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I just disappear. I go to some place, my thinking corner. It helps me de-stress, reframe, and recharge, and then come back. Yeah, so, and then I'm back a new person. Then the other thing, like when people, the dressing up, like I like dressing up. I'm not the best at it, but I try. I try. And yeah, no, when people are like, oh my God, look at you. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to make this day bright, and I hope it rubbed off. So that's us. And I forgot the 4th thing. I don't know if it's from EBS, but I'll get to it when I come back. I can't remember. But yeah, for patients, like when people are like, oh, I don't want to come back, you're like, I tell my staff, don't stress. They're going to come back. If they don't like us, nobody's going to like them. They're going to be back. But honestly, like, let me tell you, this is not just like, it works because I'm renting out of a psychologist office. And when I started out, I had only 1 family who followed me from my old practice. So I had only 2 patients. And I was chilled out. I'm like, this is just a journey, and we are going to make it great. And it happened. Like, we just blew up in the summer when it was back to school. But even when I had no patients, like the beginning, first 3 months, we were sitting there. I was like, fine, this is how it works. And the psychologist is looking at me, what's wrong with her? That's like, I mean, she's more stressed out than me for my practice. Like, I have almost 300 now. It's not a lot, but starting from 0.
It's a lot. Okay, so the psychologist is concerned for her.
I'm like, this woman is weird. Like, she's not stressed out. She has a business. She has rents to pay. I'm like, they're coming. The snowball is coming. It is coming.
Yes! Oh, man, that is good. Put your hands together for Dr. Bhattacharya. Okay. I mean, this is very, 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 very inspirational, and I hope you can walk with that message where it hasn't quite played out in the timeline I thought it would, but that's okay. It's a journey. The snowball is coming. So much so that the psychologists, if they met you, would be worried. That is good.
It reminds me of the book Miracle Morning.
Okay.
He talks about, the author talks about.
Come talk so they can hear you.
Yeah, so that.
I just want her to stand so you can see how cute she is. And I wanted to hear you.
Oh, thank you. One of my favorite books is Miracle Morning. We read together Miracle Equation, but he, he has gone through quite a bit. We all are dished with some difficulties in life. They have done some studies, and most people, if they throw it out there to a big bowl, they would just walk away with their own hardship. So, meaning I truly believe we're dished out what we can take. But anyways, the author in this book talks about, he was in a car accident, and they didn't think he's going to make it, basically, and broke several body parts. He was in a really bad condition. They didn't think he's ever going to walk again. But he was incredibly joyful in the hospital. And in fact, Nasi, this reminds me, because the doctors were worried about him. In fact, told his dad, he was a young man at the time, I want to say maybe 21, and they told his parents that something's wrong with him because he's so joyful in the hospital bed, and maybe psych has to come by. Right? Exactly. So I think I think it's really hard to do. Some people are really gifted with that. It's good to thrive for it. His books are phenomenal too. I definitely just highly recommend it. I listen to his podcast too, another way to bring up your energy and your positivity for the day. But I love that attitude. Psychs worry about your joy.
How about this as a goal for 2024? I will have so much love, joy, and peace in my life that the psychologist will be worried. That's good, no? Okay. Well, Dr. Jeannie Gunn will come to you. I got you. We can count, huh? Okay. Dr. Jeannie, you have a perspective we all need to hear. Go for it.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So this is my first time up here. So I'm Jeannie Lawrence. I'm a psychiatrist, therapist, and coach in serving women physicians.
Are you worried about Dr. Bhattacharya?
No, Dr. Bhattacharya has it all figured out. And I help women physicians create lives that feel as good as they look on the inside feel as good on the inside as they look from the outside. Excuse me. And I love this whole topic and love talking about it. And I just wanted to share transparently something. I'm going to add my own category, which is how to not quit and never give up on yourself in this journey. I have had the thought, I've been in EBS since 2020. I will never leave. But 3 years it feels like a long time. Only because sometimes I think to myself, like, ooh, I should be a lot further ahead than I am for as long as I've been in this amazing program and community. And that can be a really discouraging thought, obviously. But I never quit. I never will. I'm always here. And some things that help, just as I kind of think about, as I try to summarize it, because everybody had such amazing things to say, is that I remember that I am not my thoughts. I have these thoughts. We all have these thoughts. And I try to remember, too, that I'm in charge, though. Like, there's my thoughts, and then there's me. And so something that somebody talked about was, like, setting the tone for your day with the Daily 5. I found that to be really helpful because, it could be a morning where my thoughts are not where they should be, but I get to set the tone because they are not in charge. I try to keep peace and joy throughout my day as well, just by a lot of different things, but gratitude is really important first thing in the morning, and I've also included in my evening routine, because at the end of a long day, you may feel like, man, didn't get anything done, like this wasn't very productive, and then when I start to count not just my wins, but what I'm grateful for over the day, it's always an amazing day. Every day is an amazing day, and I have a really great night's sleep after that, which fuels me for my next day. I think that also plays into the longevity as well. Just remembering that, again, there's a separation between the way I may be thinking one day, but also that I get to make choices about how I proceed throughout my day. And so this morning, something that really worked for me, after a great dinner with Megan and Toyosi and Heather and Christina and Mary, who all challenged all of my thoughts, right, about what I can do. I woke up this morning feeling very emotional, and but it was time to come down to to our first session, and I pulled out these declarations that we got in the those who came to the 7 a.m. on yesterday, I think, and read each one of them to myself, especially about everything is working for me and to push me forward, and look myself in the eyes, right, and told myself these declarations, and it really worked. It lifted my spirits, and I'm still here. So anybody else in those shoes, try this.
So, when I started my journey as the second phase entrepreneur, so after I'd started my private practice, it took me a long time to figure it out. You hear me talk about knowing, as doctors, if the only thing I can do is doctoring, if the only thing I can do is doctoring, the time is coming when I'll be out of luck. Like I have to learn new things and all of those. That was 2016. And it wasn't until the end of 2017 that I even signed up for the program you guys hear me talking about. I had spent a year and a half trying to figure this stuff out. And so I signed up at the end of 2017. The program didn't start till 2018. I paid $43,000 for that program. I was sitting with people. I mean, there was a retreat they had. I was sitting beside somebody who was making $770,000 a month. And I'm looking at him like, wow, the sky opened and he fell down, because people don't do this. And that year, I didn't have an ideal client. I was like, I just want to help everybody be better, which is what I'm doing now. But I mean, like, you got to define it a little better. You know what I'm saying? And so, I did an event. I charged $50 for it. You couldn't tell me anything after I did that, And I may have brought in $10,000, maybe. But in the meantime, people were flying all over the country, speaking on big stages, and I'm like, I can't even leave my practice to go speak on any stage. And so then I did the Facebook Live. Like when you hear me talk about the Legacy Parents Show, I was like, I can't be on the stage, so I'll just create a stage on Facebook and talk there. But I wasn't being paid $20,000 like they were being paid to be on stage. So I was in a community of people who were doing really well, and I was still trying to find where I was going. I'm paying top dollar to find where I was going. And it wasn't until 2019 that we actually broke through and had our first 100K year. 2016 to 2019. The reason why I'm sharing that is, yes, you're in a room full of unicorns. Yes, you may think people are doing things you're not doing, but it is always working. The groundwork you're doing matters. And the reason why I root for everybody, even when I'm like, yeah, you're doing the work that is a lot of work, but it's a foundation level work, so nobody can see it. The reason why I root for that is because that was me for years. And you can't even explain to people what you're doing. Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to figure it out. When I do, I'll let you know. And so if you're here and you see people moving quickly, I want you to be inspired by them. I want you to project yourself all the way there and be like, I wonder what that would be like. I want you to never entertain the option of quitting. Because what if I quit? And that's what breaks my heart when I see people quit, because I'm like, the opportunity cost of quitting is so high. Think about it. There will be no EntreMD podcast with 500,000 downloads. There will be no EntreMD on the Inc. 5000. There will be no EntreMD method book. There will be no Made for More book. We won't be here. Like, all of this poof. And the worst part is we'll never know. It would just seem like, oh yeah, I quit. Yeah, I decided I wasn't doing that anymore. But what actually did you quit on? Do you see what I'm saying? So never, ever, and I'm not saying you're quitting. You just brought up something I was like, never, ever, ever, ever quit on yourself. Because it's only a matter of time. And so some people will be 0 to 60 and will be happy because there are vision boards. Because now we can look and like, and that's the reason why when I go, I get a win, I come back, I'm like, this is how I did it. I go, I get a win, I come back, I'm like, this is how I did it, because I want to be a vision board. I want you to look and say, wow, everybody there says I can't, but apparently I can. And that's what everybody else here is doing. When they get a win and they come back and they're sharing the win, they're being a real life vision board for you. Look at the vision board. Get inspired. Put yourself in a story. Visualize it. Go like, I'm going to add that to my example. I'm going to do all of those things. But don't quit. This is the reason why the EntreMD Business School is not a membership. Because people will quit and I would need a Dr. Jeannie because I need mental health. I'm like, oh. Because I'm like, what did they just abort? We will never know. But I'm sure it was something great. Don't quit. If it takes longer, it takes longer. But don't quit. Okay? Come on. Yeah, we can. Okay. Did you say 1 second? Did you mean it? 30 seconds. Oh, wow. 1 to 30.
Really short.
Okay, go for it.
So I legitimately think of myself as a joyless person, that I don't know what joy looks like. I don't have hobbies. My job, I'm obsessed with my job. I love it. So like, I don't have hobbies. I'm jealous of all you people who like bird watch and do weird things. But what I've realized by being connected to all of you, first of all the amount of, we are a multi-billion dollar brain trust, right? Think about how much you spent on med school. Think about my hourly rate, then double it because we're all worth way more. And then think about how much this room is worth, multi-billion dollars. And we get to have dinner together. We get to talk to each other, and we get all this like incredible therapy together. But like, this is joy for me, right? The connection, the thought, the puzzles, the dreaming, the detective work. How can we help more people? How can we do it bigger? How can we work together? What my dream is, that multidisciplinary way to help more people. This is joy, right? This is the joy. And so what I will say just very quickly in 30 seconds or less, don't drama, like when we need this, Dr. Una, when you feel the mind drama happen, put it out there to this multi-billion dollar community, because they get it gone real fast. They literally will not let you keep the stupid mind drama going, and I have done that over this past couple years, and that's why I share so loudly, because you're going to see that I have the same mind drama as you, and then, well, if she has, so when you get to these places, you realize it doesn't change. You still have the mind drama, but have the community around you to just be like, oh yeah, it's not that serious. Move on.
You want to practice, since you're in this multi-billion-dollar brain trust with people who give you joy, you want to practice saying, I'm a joyful person?
I am a joyful person.
Okay.
All right.
I know. I'm gonna let y'all. But I'm putting a timer. All right, and I'm gonna be generous. You guys get 60 seconds each, okay? Because I want or we don't do lunch. How many of you love that, but you also want to have lunch? You want to have lunch, okay?
All right, this will be really, really quick, and I think. Guess what I'm gonna.
Guess what she's gonna talk about.
That's what. So I'm gonna just say that every single thing that we're talking about here really lies on ensuring that you prioritize sleep, because. Who could tell me how many decisions we make every day? Many. Right? Studies have set up to 35,000 decisions. And the ability to make, as entrepreneurs, the quality of your decision lies on your ability to ensure that you are resting well. Like your cognitive performance is optimal. And you only get that. You get it through, of course, working on the mindset, all that. But you get it through adequate sleep. Peace comes through sleep, because one thing I was telling Dr. Tolu, I said sleep is the ultimate form of trust. Because when you sleep, you're letting go and saying, yes, there's so much I still need to accomplish. I did the best I can today. I'm out. And guess what starts to work in your favor? God, whatever you're believing in, right? Because you're letting go. The ability to respond to challenges, we call it resilience. Resilience is also what, it's all about sleep. And so I would encourage us to focus on, to make sleep to 20% as well.
All right. If you need to update your 20% list, go for it. All right, 60 seconds. Talk to us.
All right, so I learned this from Dr. Una, and I've doctored it from myself. But there are two Toyosis. There's the one here who's like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome, this is gonna happen, everything's great. And then tomorrow, the second Toyosi shows up who's like, I can't do all of this. So today's Toyosi has prepared for tomorrow's Toyosi. By recording voice memos. Yes. And so I record 10 minutes worth of the same thing over and over again. And for me, what I do is I'll go through like one scripture and different versions of it and say it all the way to the end. And I will just play it to myself while I'm sitting at my foot massager at home as part of my self-care PQ rep for those of you who've read Positive Intelligence, and just play it over. Because when I'm like, I can't do this, the voice is like, oh no, I'm with you. You can do this. And so anyway, so I just want to just encourage you, especially for those of you who know that you have the second person who's going to doubt everything that happened, just prepare and record the message they need to hear.
Changing the world 60 seconds at a time. Yes. And I just got an idea. I was like, the reinvention by imagination, I'm going to go record mine. Yes. The reinvention by imagination we did yesterday, I'm going to record that too and just let it play. Wow. Okay, nobody's ready. She changed the world in 60 seconds. It's your turn now.
I'm not going to cry this time. But I wanted to respond to Dr. Jeannie's comment. And I found myself with this thought when you were talking about in 2016 if you would have quit. And I found myself being mad at anyone, at you even considering that. Because if you wouldn't have done this, I would still be employed. I'm being very selfish right now. If you would have quit, then I would still be living that reality where I wasn't happy and I wasn't the longevity, all of that. So I think, and this message is for me too, when you think about quitting, think about somebody 7 years later that doesn't even know you, whose life you're gonna change the course of somebody's life that you don't even know yet. So I'm so glad you didn't quit.
Thank you.
It's also related to Ginny and a lot of comments. It's about guilt. I think that a lot of us are staying in the 80% because of the guilt of, I mean, I just did my calendar and they were like, oh, you have Saturday and Sunday off. I'm like, yeah, Monday and Friday too. And I mean, I know why. I had stage 4, so I like cancer, and I was like, I'm not even sure I'm gonna make it, but if I make it, I'm telling you, I'm doing the life that I really want. Yeah, okay, and so here's the thing. I used to always feel guilty when I was in my 20%. I was in the 80% because even if I don't know, I just felt guilty not working. Even now, I'm like fighting a little bit of this guilt of like, oh, look at those other CEO calendars. Wow, I'm not working enough. But the truth is, I have my sister and I have her boyfriend, and they are big CEOs and they make a ton of money. Like Sarolta's money, right? Sarah's money. And they don't work as much, and they do not work as much, and they've never worked as much as any of you here has ever worked. And I think when you're feeling guilty, do not. There's a ton of people who make a ton of money working not even half as what I'm working, or look at Wendy's working. They don't even work that half, but they own it. All right, and if you're gonna compare yourself to someone, compare to them, because then you won't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. I see my sister and I'm so proud of her and I'm so impressed at her, but she's flying business class, so am I.
I just love you guys. Okay, there is a show. It's so strange, right? Like, I turn on my TV. This is a show that's already playing. It drives me nuts. Like, I feel like when I look at it, my IQ starts dropping. And I'm like, oh my goodness, let's get rid of this. It's called Storage Wars. And so I look at it, I'm like, these are full-grown, able-bodied people standing by storage units, bidding for $200 so they can sell the things in it for $300 and make $100. And I'm like, I don't get it. Because I'm like, somewhere, because this is happening in California, I'm like, somewhere, maybe 30 minutes away, somebody else is auctioning stuff off, but they're auctioning off for $4 million, right? And this is something they're going to add that's going to increase their net worth by XYZ. So it made me realize it's not the time. It's what you put in the time. Like, there's no amount of time you're going to do that for that's going to give you financial freedom. I'm like, this is a waste of life. You guys can see how it hurts my soul. One day, the kids came in, and it was on. I was like, no, please change the channel. The kids are watching it. It's going to destroy them. Like, I was like... But it made it so clear that one of our job is, how can I put the most high value thing in this very precious gift I have called time so I can pull the best out of life? And that's what where's Dr. Isabel? That's what you're talking about, where it's not about doing all the things and I'm busy. It's about what got done. What is the value of what got done? So Jeff Bezos one day was doing an interview, and he said, as the CEO, he was the CEO then of Amazon. Now we're talking $1 trillion company. He said, my job is to make a few key decisions every day. He doesn't do anything. He makes decisions. He's running $1 trillion company. That's why we go like, okay, we're doing the thing of acquiring clients, then we're doing the thing of acquiring teams, then we're doing the things of building business assets. We're going to get to the point where we're doing the things of buying businesses. Because the higher you go, the bigger impact you get, the higher impact work you do, the more impact you can have in the world. So he's running $1 trillion company. He's making decisions. So he said, because of that, the most important thing I can do for my company is sleep for 8 hours a day. So I'm in the best frame of mind to make those decisions. This is someone running $1 trillion company. And so our job is to embrace the 20%, get good at it, and keep embracing bigger and bigger and bigger 20%. And yes, it will put you in a position where you're like, I'm done. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Right? And Dr. Isabel is talking to us. We're not going to feel guilty about that. Okay? All right. So when you're doing the things you're doing to go, understand I'm paying the price to have this level of impact in my world. That's what we're doing. All right. Dr. Rashmi. You guys told me 1 second. Y'all still talking. But I love you. And we need to hear what you have.
So, 12, 13 years ago when I first signed up for like my first meditation teacher training, the only thing, like I raised my hand, we had to say what we wanted out of the whole like year and a half training. And like, this is all I wanted. Like, and like my teacher kept saying, this is literally all you want. And I'm like, that's literally the only thing I want in my entire life. Like, if I could just have this. And she was like, well, what about joy? And what about, and I'm like, I don't care. I just want this. Is it possible? and so obviously it's possible. And not only that, but it's sort of like, second base to coming into joy. It's part of that process. But what I have learned for sure that I wanted to share with you guys is we live so much from the neck up. We live so much here. We're always, and thought work is important and all of that stuff. But what I want us to just to consider is we can 100% generate the emotions that we want to then go back to our thoughts. And it is 100% capable. We are 100% capable of that. And I think we're just not using it enough. I think we leave it on the table. It isn't that, these constrictive emotions aren't good. Of course, we have to feel them. That's so much about meditation and mindfulness and all of that stuff. But this idea of whatever it is, this openness, this open-heartedness, this joy, we can just sit, close our eyes, and we can generate those emotions. And so I want us to lean into the body a little bit more too, just because we're constantly communicating. So don't forget about using your body and your emotions.
So I have a question. So you wanted peace. So what's your big thing now?
Well, I mean, there's that quote that I did the last time, which is, if joy is not the marker for success, then why bother?
She's working down the list, people. Peace and now joy. Okay.
But longevity, yeah. I mean, you can have more joy when you're healthier for a longer period of time. You can spread that as well. And so I think it all goes together. And of course, it all rests in sleep. Divine sleep, which is also known as yoga nidra sometimes, if you can't get that much enough sleep.
I love you guys. Okay. You came back. Oh, you went away. Well, welcome back, Dr. Magda. Here you go.
Thank you. Okay. So I want to talk about joy because I feel I'm a very joyful person. We feel so. Yeah, okay. Thank you. And it's strategy, it's very intentional. And it's something very intentional that I started when I was very little. So since I was the time of 9 years old, I decided I wanted to give joy to others. Excuse me. Sorry. To others, but as an adult and as a doctor, I had to also learn to have that joy from the inside, yeah. So excuse me, okay. So one of the ways I do that is, well, first, when you do give joy to others, of course, they give it back to you, but you have to learn to receive. So that key lesson was learning to receive joy. I was very happy to give. So we're taught that giving is better than receiving, but it doesn't say you can't receive. It doesn't say don't receive. We're all deserving of receiving. And it's a lesson that I had to learn and accept. And we're deserving of receiving all of the love and joy that's available to us. And there's so much of an abundant love and joy that's available for us. And once you receive that and you don't resist it, like if someone's giving you a gift, you don't say, take that away, right? That's your life is a gift, and we are all, when we are born like a baby, you want them to be happy and smiling and joyful. Why do you deny that to yourself? right? So I treat myself as my child, right? So I learned that, you know what, what would little Magda, you can even look at an old picture of yourself at 5 or 6 years old. You know, if I said what I'm thinking to her, you know, take a minute and say, why would I say something like that to her? And then think about how God or the universe sees you. You are an amazing being. We all are. And that's how we have to see ourselves. So that's how we're seen. You know, when you look in the mirror, that's how you're seen, and that's how you have to see yourself.
Thank you for coming back. Be nice to little Magda. Okay? That was so good. Thank you. All right, so in this energy, how many of you are now ready to work on this CEO calendar? Right? We got all the yuckiness out of the way. Okay? So this is not this terrible thing. This is this beautiful GPS where we get to plug in an address, and it's going to take us where we need to go. And it's not going to be the grunt, grind, hustle. I don't have a life, because we're living in the 20%, which is this magical place where we do less and get more done. Yes? Okay. So I'm going to put this framework back, and I'm going to have you now. The ideal week is the benchmark, right? Doesn't mean every week will be like that. But for an ideal week, what would you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? You can, Saturday, Sunday, just plug in those. You have, your color pencil. If you have big blocks and you want to color those, do this as well. But let's create our weekly GPS. Sound good? Yes? You guys are just ignoring me because you're already working? Awesome. Okay, go for it. How many of you feel like you have a good first draft? Yes? Okay. How many of you come to terms with the fact that this may be my good enough version, and I'm okay with the fact that I will continue to edit this? Like you've given yourself that permission, you're good. Okay. Now I want you to take a look. This is really important. I want you to take a look at your calendar. So just look at it. Okay? Then look at the frog. Is the frog impressed? Is the frog like, this looks really froggy, I'm proud of you? The frog is impressed? Is the frog like, that's some 20% stuff, I'm so proud of you? You guys are not sure. Did you fill your calendar with 80% things? No. So the frog is impressed. The frog is like, good job. Those are like some 20% froggy looking things. Yes? Some of you just not, it doesn't matter what I say, you're just not going to respond. Yes? Okay. If you execute, guys, this is important, I promise. I'm even going to let you out 5 minutes before it's time for lunch. I'm trying to be of my best behavior here. So work with me. Okay. If you do what you have on your calendar for 12 months, what is your % chance of creating the version of your 10x life you want to live in 2024? What's the %? 80, 90? I heard 2.3. I was like, we have to start the retreat all over again? Okay. So 80, I'm hearing 80, 90, 100, 92.3. Does that sound about right? Yes. Okay, I'm coming to you, girl. I got you. Okay. So we're going to go do lunch, but I want you to think about this. The reason we did all the work we did from the beginning is to come to the point where we have what we need to do for our reinvention by imagination, and we have our GPS. That's the whole point of everything we've been doing. Do you feel like you have your GPS? Now, we're still going to add, it is written, like we can change stuff if we need to, but do you feel like I have a good enough version? I have direction, I have clarity. There is some things that are uncertain, but I can be certain in uncertainty. Do you feel that way? Yes. Okay. Because you feel that way, you can go eat. Okay, all right, so lunch is in the same place. You can go do your bio break. You can chit chat with your friends before you go. We're gonna come back here at 1 o'clock. We're gonna run through one session and then we're gonna do our specialty mastermind. We're gonna do specialty photo shoots. We're gonna do all kinds of fun things, okay? So don't be missing, all right? Was it a good morning? Was it an amazing morning?